Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel Acres of Art. Today I want to bring you a little conversation, really, a little chat about what you need to get started with wire wrapping. If you are a complete beginner and you have no idea what to do and where to start, then this is the video to watch. So firstly, the two most essential things that you're going to need when you're wire wrapping is, of course, wire. So this is the first thing we're going to start with is the gauges of wire that you need and the different types of wire that you can get. So first of all, a lot of people really like silver. So I would recommend perhaps starting with a silver plated copper wire. Sterling silver is ridiculously expensive. Please don't go down the line of buying sterling silver unless you are making it for someone and they request it, because it's crazy expensive. Silver plated copper wire is absolutely fine. I get tarnish resistant, which means that it should stay nice and shiny. So the two gauges I generally work with are 20 gauge wire and 26 gauge wire. So these ones are the silver ones, and the 20 gauge we use for our lengths, and then the 26 gauge wire is what we use to wrap and create our designs. So the 26 is slightly thinner than the 20. So wire, of course, is first and foremost the most essential thing. You can get the same kind of wire in antique bronze, just so I can show you the colour there. So that's antique bronze. It's slightly softer than the silver, so it might be a little bit easier to work with. So that could be a good one to start with. Or we can get a copper wire. The copper wire is very soft and very bendy, and sometimes can be a little bit harder to work with because it's so soft, but it's up to you. Whichever one you want to practice with, these are all relatively the same price. And of course there are all sorts of different colours that you can buy, but I kind of like the natural wire. So the copper, the antique bronze and the silver. And then of course the second thing you need is something to cut the wire with. So I started off just with this pair. This is my trusty pair of pliers. They're called a needle nose set of pliers, and you can use them to squash the wire down, but you can also use them to cut with, so it's got a little cutter inside. So to start off with, those are the two things that you're going to need to practice. I would recommend having a look at tutorials on how to do wire wrapping techniques. There is one on my channel and I'll pop it at the end of this video. It will really help you just to start off with the basics and learn how to do things. But you also, if you want to progress and you actually want to wrap stones, which is probably the whole point in joining the wire wrapping community, there are lots of different stones. So the third thing we're going to need are our stones. So we can start off with what we call tumblestones. And these are all totally irregular shapes. There's an amethyst piece here. We've got, I think this is moonstone, which is really pretty, turquoise. But these are all completely irregular shapes. They can be quite tricky to wrap, but they're much easier to use because it's just quite free. And once you've done a practice wrap, you can wrap it around the stone and you've got a beautiful piece straight away. The other options, sorry, put these down, they make a bit of a noise. The other options we've got are things called a cabochon or a cab. So I'm going to pick these up and show you close up. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. The teardrop is probably easier to wrap than some of the others, but we get oval ones, all different shapes. Got a lovely turquoise round piece there. We've got an oval amethyst. So all of these are brilliant for starting out. You can do some really simple wraps with these. They're easier to wrap because they're flat on the back and they've got a little dome shape to them. So those are our cabs, as you will hear them called. And then the other style, slightly different, are ones with holes in them. So obviously these are treated to be a particular shape and they come with a little hole in the centre. So those are our different types of stones. And obviously those three things are really all you need to get going and start your wrapping and learning. But there are a few things you might come across as you go along that you might need as well, what I find really helpful. So Along with your needle nose pliers, you can buy a set of 3. Generally they come in sets of 3 that come with a cutter, which is really helpful obviously to cut thicker pieces of wire, because sometimes this can be a little bit tricky, and round nose wire pliers, sorry, which help to make lovely little twists and curls like on the bottom of my rings. They will come in a set of 3. You can get those if you want to. That's a really good thing to get started. And then one thing you might find that you need as you progress and as you go along are these flat nose pliers, because these are completely smooth on the inside and they help you to squash down the pattern, and it just creates a really smooth kind of simple, I can't even think of the word now, a really smooth simple pattern as you squash it down as you go. I didn't start off doing that, I just practiced wrapping, and these are the only things I bought. So don't worry too much if you don't have these, you don't have to go crazy. A couple of other things you might come along as you're watching tutorials, you might come across are an anvil and a hammer. So you don't have to get these. This is just an extra. My brother actually made me these ones, so you won't find this in the shop, but I will put a link below to something similar that will do exactly the same job. So this is my lovely hammer that is nice and well worn, and my, what we call an anvil. So it's got lots of lovely marks all over it because I've been bashing away. That is for totally different techniques that you will come across as you go further along. But when you're first practicing, it's not necessarily something that you need. And so almost finally, one of the things you might need as you go further through things is a ring sizer. I love my rings, so you may end up wanting to experiment making a few rings. We've got the ring sizer here, which basically tells you what size of ring to make, and then these come as a set. We've got our ring mandrel. So once you know the size that you want using your ring sizer, you've got the mandrel to slide it on, make sure your ring fits a particular size, and then it will fit the hand of the person you're making it for. So that's almost there with all the things you're going to need, bar one little box of goodies. You can actually buy a similar box to this. I've bought all of these bits separately, but these are just my what we call fastenings. So the fastenings are all the bits and pieces you need to create earrings, your little rings to kind of attach things together, and your little clasps that you need to make bracelets or to finish off a necklace chain. So all of those are things that you might come across as you go further forward. But as I said right at the beginning, 2 things to get started: pliers and wire. And that is going to be perfect for you to get practicing. And please do take a look at my 5 beginner techniques, because that will really help you. I'll add it at the end of this video. And if you enjoy what you're seeing, please do subscribe to my channel, because I upload videos every week. There'll be lots more different things, and we'll progress as we go along. We'll get harder, we'll get more complicated. And like the video, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.